This week on DeMystiFi, week 3, we're going to do these 3 things. We're going to check in on our accounts, make sure each of our traditional and decentralized finance accounts are doing what we expect them to do. We're going to do a portfolio update, check where we're at with each in terms of value and see who's winning. And this week, when we go a little bit deeper, we're going to take a look at the fees between traditional and the DeFi account. On the traditional side, with our M1 portfolio, we see that we are in our 3rd week, so we have $300 deposited, and that is the increases that we see here. However, in the last week or so, the market has been down, so our $300 of deposit is currently worth $294. But it's working as expected. 100% of the money is going into VTI, and I haven't had to do anything manually. This happens automatically each Friday. On the PiDAO BCP side, we take a look at our oven. We see that, yes, indeed, since last time, the ETH that we had put in has been created into BCP and it's setting in our Pi, and we did our deposit of Ethereum. The price here this is less than we put in previously because the gas fees have been high. We'll talk about gas fees in a minute, but our $100 was a good chunk of that went to gas, so this time only 0.066 ETH went into the oven, and this is saying that we do have our 99 BCP ready to take out, but with gas fees so high, I don't want to pay the gas right now to withdraw that into my local wallet, so I'll keep the BCP setting in the oven, and when gas gets lower, we'll take that out. So we did make our purchase of 0.066 ETH worth of BCP. That'll be another week until that goes above the 0.1 threshold, and that will get converted back into more BCP. So things are working as expected, just the fees are a little high to do a lot of transactions, especially with units of only around $100. So let's take a look at performance over time. I've added an entry for the purchases made on or around January 29th, and I've also added a few more columns to make this chart more precise. On the VTI side, it's very straightforward. There's a price and a quantity, and multiply those two and you get a total. But on the crypto side, it's a little more complicated with the ovens and the baking and fees and how that works. So we've taken what we had originally for just the BCP price and quantity and multiply that together to get the BCP total. But we also have that ETH that's in the oven waiting to be baked, that 0.066. So I wanted to account for that so we could have a apples to apples comparison between the two. So I made an entry for the Ethereum price and the Ethereum quantity that's setting in the oven and multiplying that together to get the Ethereum total, and also added a column for when we withdraw that from the oven, what gas we pay there. So right now we haven't withdrawn anything, so our withdrawal gas is 0. So we multiply, or we add those two things together, the BCP total, the ETH total, and subtract out the gas paid, and we get that crypto total. So here we see we're only accounting for gas by saying we put $100 in, and the amount that we had in total in ETH is 86. So we paid over $13 in gas. So when we add it together, we get that crypto total, and subtracting out the withdrawal gas. At some point, we want to have that in our wallet and not just setting in the oven indefinitely. So our crypto total is 296. Our VTI total is currently 294, so that's very close. The crypto total would be higher except for the gas fees that have come out. So we see our graph over time, this is very similar, but as time goes on, they will diverge one way or the other. For this week, we'll go a little bit deeper into fees and comparing fees involved of using a traditional index fund and fees involved in using a crypto index fund such as PiDAO BCP. And I'm a huge fan of minimizing fees and diversifying, so let's talk about those fees that are involved. First, let's talk about the platform fee. And that's the fee that you pay to the platform to be able to purchase and use these systems. In a traditional index fund, we're using M1 Finance, and they charge 0% for their services, so there's no fee for buying and selling VTI in this case. On the crypto index side, it's part of the Ethereum ecosystem, so any purchases has a gas fee associated with it, and that's an explicit fee. When you make the transaction, they'll show you the amount that is being purchased and the gas cost. And how we're implementing this is when we make the transactions for $100 a week, that's inclusive of the gas fee. So if it turns out to be, it's a floating gas fee, but if it turns out to be 3%, then we're buying $97 worth of BCP and paying the $3 in gas. So that's an explicit fee. Secondly, there is an asset fee involved. So for the thing that we're buying, what fees are involved in owning and transferring that fee, that asset? On the traditional index side, on VTI, it's a 0.03% fee for holding VTI, and that's implicit. That's just a drag on the price, so you won't see it called out separately. It's just the value of VTI over time will be about 0.3% less, and that money goes to the overhead of maintaining the fund. On the crypto index side for BCP, it's a 0.46%, so much higher. That's roughly 14 or so times more expensive, and that's also an implicit fee. That's just a drag on it. So throughout the year, the 0.46% of the value in terms of market cap will come out, and that goes to the DAO I'll talk about in a minute. The third on this list is the asset fee for what do you earn, and in the traditional index, that's not really a concept. So there's 0% earnings other than reinvested dividends, but in terms of just coming from the fund, it's zero. On the crypto index side, on BCP, there is a 1% swap volume fee that you earn as other people swap between the assets. You participate in that, so that's an amount that is earned. That's also implicit. So the value of BCP will just increase as more volume occurs on BCP. And then finally, let's talk about where those fees go. Who makes use of those fees? So on the traditional index in Vanguard, the fees go to Vanguard with VTI, and that's used to pay for the overhead of managing that fund. 0.03% is extremely low, but it's still an amount that goes back to Vanguard. On the crypto index side, it's a much more interesting and complex question. The most simple answer is those 0.46 streaming fees, 0.46% streaming fees go to the DAO, the Pi DAO itself. And that from that place, that's where, from the DAO, that also pays for the oven fees. So we take advantage of low gas cost for minting BCP. And how that's decided is there's a different asset called DOE, and those who own DOE control and vote on what happens to the money in the Pi DAO. One of those things that the Pi DAO has decided to distribute funds to is for farming. So they provide incentive for people to provide liquidity in these pools and for holding DOE. So one of the decisions that the DOE holders have made to do with the Pi DAO money is to provide rewards back to DeFi farming related to Pi DAO assets. So that's the discussion of the fees involved, and thanks everyone. Leave any questions or thoughts for future episodes, and we'll talk to you next week.